Good morning. How are y'all? Me too. Feeling good. I've got a curiosity that I want to check out with you. We're going to be talking about Grandparents Sunday. But before we get into that, I want to see how many people, let me think, how can I do this? When you hear the word grandparent, do you think of yourself if you're a grandparent? How many think of your own grandparents? Just curious, because I've got to thinking about this. I looked this up a few months ago and thought, well, that's a good idea. I'll expand this notion of Grandparent Sunday, because it seems to be happening. It's been happening for about 50 years or so. And I thought, well, that sort of limits not everybody grandparents, and not every one of us are happy grandparents. So it's like, what can we do? What can we find out from this? So I'm going to see if I can delve into that and make that happen. Let's light our chalice. The idea of truth illuminates the world. The idea of knowledge brings and expands the mind. May the light of love guide us to hearths and families and places of comfort. Amen. In 1978, President Jimmy Carter issued a declaration that the first Sunday after Labor Day would be designated as Grandparents Sunday. Now, Jimmy was thinking about how to propose for the culture some type of reinforcement of some things that were getting lost. Understandings of heritage, understanding of guidance of wisdom. Because in this modern age, or postmodern age, or meta-modern age, we're moving awfully fast. The only way to really engage this is to make it biographical, to look at what your experience is with grandparenting, if that happens to be your case. And if you're younger, are you getting ready to do it? Is that going to be a part of your life? We will hope so. We would hope so. So this holiday has not been moved into the category of money-making yet. You haven't seen any advertising about Grandparents' Day gifts, have you? Have you gotten any? See? So what do we do with that? I mean, is it just another exploitation to adventure into distract us from what the real hard things are of life? Well, it may be an idealistic approach to say, let's remember who we are. And the best way to do that is look at your own family. Now, when you look at your own family, you better have some good glasses on. Because when I look at my grandparents, I had one SOB who was terrible. My daddy hated him. And then I had three others, two saints, and a sage. So out of my four, I got one bad one. So I want to ask you a question, and we're going to participate here a little bit, because I'm not going to talk for 20 minutes on things you don't know about and I don't know about you. So I want you to think about what is the most important thing you've learned about being a grandparent. What have you learned? Let's try to be honest with this. Let's not try to be flowery if it's not. And second, what's the most surprising thing you've learned about being a grandparent? I'll get started, but I want some people to participate, okay? I deeply regret I don't know my granddaughter. My oldest grandchild is a freshman in college. Well, she's into what freshmen in colleges are in. But I've not been around them to be a participant in her life, except on special occasions. And those are very seldom. That's one thing. Another thing I've learned, it's good to not have expectations about being a grandparent. Because your expectations are not going to be met. Because if I had this concept that I was going to be the great sage and tell them all the stories about our family, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And a lot of you are affirming me, and I wonder if that's just going to be the dead end of our service this morning. But I'd like for someone to share with me, share with us, what's really the best learning you had. Somebody wants to come up and tell me? Come on, Liz. The bike's on. The mic, yeah, come on. Start it off, Laurel. Just get behind it. Come around here. Yeah, just talk into it. Oh, hold on.
Thank you. We have 4 children that we adopted. And no, closer?
Yeah.
Okay, now you hear us. Okay, so we have 4 children that we adopted, and they're almost completely grown up sometimes. So, and we also have 2 little granddaughters, and they're beautiful, and I love them. And so, and we also have my daughter, my eldest daughter, has a boyfriend who has an 8-year-old. So it's wonderful that we get to meet and see these children as they grow up. You know, they don't look like me necessarily, they don't look like him, but they're the flower when they bloom. Oops, each child is different and they have their own special, and it was wonderful that we watched them grow up, and they still have a little place to go, a little bit to go. But they're wonderful kids, and we're hoping they will come up here to visit us here. So yeah. Anyway, so next.
And Jerry's got a hand mic. If you want to hold up your hand, come to get the. I think we got a hand mic somewhere, don't we? Okay, come on up. Go right ahead, love.
So I don't have blood grandchildren. I have step grandchildren. And so I had the joy of having grandchildren that way. But what I learned most is that grandchildren could love 1,000 grandparents. If they have love and kindness, they could love roomfuls. And I'm sorry that their real grandmother, my husband's first wife, never understood that. And if you'll indulge me, I want to tell one quick story about my middle granddaughter. No idea of what UUs were. Family was sort of Catholic, and she came to visit with her family here in this building, came to a service, and as we're leaving, it was summer, so it wasn't a regular service. I think we had a guest speaker. And then she saw Jerry Elsenrath with his tie-dye T-shirt, you know, and there are a bunch of people in shorts. And she looked at me and said, "Graham, those are sure your people."
The words Jimmy Carter used in his declaration were wisdom, strength, and guidance the grandparents may offer. Now, the notion that we have wisdom that would apply to the modern age, I don't know. I'm pretty dumb. I think we all are really out of touch with so much that's going on. And those of us in my generation, you in this room, who know the tech world, just blow me away, because I can't get there, or I haven't tried enough to get there. So I think there's some things going on that science is telling us. We're aging, and that's impacting some of our skills, cognitive, emotional, otherwise. And I think when there's a scarcity of things, we sort of concentrate. And that's whether you're moving about, or whether you're trying to remember some people's names, or you're trying to renew a conversation that would be adequate for the situation. Because when you're 30 years old, an 80-year-old doesn't have much to say to you, because their 30-year-old has not had an experience, a catalog of experiences that have helped to communicate with the 80-year-old. So I'm not sure that our modern age or postmodern age or meta-modern age of time and changes serve us well. So what do you do about that? Just complain and run away from it, or ignore it, become a hermit? No, I think you find communities. And I think you seek out people who connect with you, that can share some of the same stories. And you know what might be surprising to you? Some young people want to know those stories. Some won't want to know those stories. So basically, we have to come to a point of, as a grandparent or someone of that generation, to be willing to stand by, and when the crisis comes, the people need to be held, need to be lifted up, need to be challenged to say, we can do this. You're there to do it. That's what the spiritual reinforcement of kinship or choice. See, families are not made, families are created. I mean, just having babies is no big deal, right? Anybody nearly could do that. But to nurture and lead and forget and renew and be a steady force in their lives is vital stuff. That's called faithing, for as I'm concerned. You have faith in the process. You will move at a pace that you could live with, and others might come to respect it. Now, you can move into it with an attitude of, well, they don't want to hear anything I don't have to say. Well, they probably don't. They probably don't. But that doesn't mean we don't need, life does not need some opinions about what it was like to be hungry, what it was like to be frightened, what it would be like to bury a child, to aspire to a job you couldn't get, to hope for some hope that wasn't there. Because it's not about success, it's about endurance. It's about staying with a problem and staying with a situation and knowing that it's going to be okay ultimately. Because there's no final answers. We look in the back of the book and there's no answers there. We look at their stories, our parents, they had different circumstances. They were different agents. They were influenced by different forces. My daddy was crippled by his daddy who beat him. Well, big deal, Doak. A lot of people get beat. But that tells me something about Daddy, and he was a good dad. And I think I've become a good dad because I had a model of a bad dad, granddaddy, and a good granddaddy. Now, if this is narcissistic ranting on some people's parts, I challenge you on that. So how do you know who you are? Have you imagined who you are? Or have you recount some of the stories and reckon with them? Are you able to talk to people about those stories? And people not be judgmental, but listen and confirm and affirm who you are and what you are. See, we're wounded walking. We're walking wounded. We're hurt people in spirit and many times in body. But that doesn't make a bit of difference when it comes down to being the worth that we have and the opportunity we have to be blessed. Because you either have the attitude that life is a blessing or it's a curse. It's either based on fear or based on love. And Unitarian Universalism and me, and I hope you, confer the idea that it's about hope, it's about love, it's about passing on, it's about leaving something better than you found it. And you know what? 3 out of 4 ain't bad. The odds are pretty well. And I think history repeats itself, rhymes, sometimes even though it doesn't, it stumbles in the dark. So, blessed Grandparents' Day. May our wisdom be cherished, may our strength be renewed, and may our guidance be wise. Amen. Thank you. Please be seated a moment. I've got a closing reading I want to share with you that sort of summarizes what I was trying to say to you today. If you're lucky, life gives you a second chance at holding tiny hands, this time with slower steps and a fuller heart. It lets you love without the pressure to be perfect, to rock them just because, not just to get them to sleep, to say yes to a little one and worry a little less. If you're lucky, you get to see your child become a parent. And in their tired eyes, you remember how you owned long nights. And you whisper, you're doing just fine. If you're lucky, you get to sit on the floor again, even if it takes longer to get back up. And get to laugh over nothing and sing the same song 10 times and find magic in bubbles and blocks. You learn that your love grows deeper when it's stretched across generations. That time really does fly, and at this time, you're holding on to tighter. If you're lucky, you can be called by a name only they use, and you become your favorite sound in the world, because it's not just about you, it's being their grandparent. It's about being their soft place, their safe arms, their story keeper. If you're lucky, you'll realize that this is sacred, simple, ordinary kind of love in the very best part of life. And friend, if you're reading this and nodding your head, I hope you know you're the lucky one. Amen. Take the light with you.